You want to conquer the world? Be admired, respected, unstoppable? Everyone talks about leaving a legacy, building empires, becoming the greatest. But here's the truth. If you can't win over the person in the mirror, you're not ready for any of that. You are your first opponent. You are your biggest obstacle. And until you learn to dominate your own mind, your own excuses, your own impulses, everything else is noise. You see, most people are at war with the world while silently losing the war within themselves. They want success, but can't wake up on time. They want greatness, but can't stop scrolling. They want respect, but keep breaking promises to themselves. Let me be clear. The greatest battle you'll ever fight isn't against a rival, an enemy, or even the world. It's against your laziness, your fear, your doubts, your distractions. That's the real enemy. And every single day that enemy shows up, quietly, casually. It tells you to hit snooze, to skip the workout, to break the diet, to wait until tomorrow. And every time you give in, you lose, not to the world, to yourself. That loss doesn't show up right away. It builds slowly, silently. It erodes your self-respect, your self-trust, and then one day you wake up wondering why life feels heavy, aimless, stuck. That's why this matters. Because when you win over yourself, when you learn to command your thoughts, your habits, your emotional reactions, everything changes. Suddenly, goals aren't just ideas, they're realities. Suddenly, people start noticing the shift. Not because you're louder, but because you're locked in. There's a presence in people who have conquered themselves. You feel it when they walk into a room. They don't chase control over others. They already have control over the one person that matters, themselves. You want to be that person? It starts now. No more blaming your past. No more waiting for motivation. No more pointing fingers. You take radical ownership, full responsibility. You stop saying, I didn't have time, and start saying, I chose something else. You stop saying, I can't, and start saying, I haven't yet. That language shift, that's the beginning of your transformation, because self-mastery doesn't begin in action. It begins in awareness. The moment you stop lying to yourself, you start freeing yourself. And from there, the real work begins. Waking up when you said you would, even when you don't feel like it. Finishing the task you started, even when it's boring. Saying no to short-term pleasure because you've committed to long-term purpose. That's what self-respect looks like. That's what mental toughness feels like. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Growth always is. But here's the thing. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret, that stays. And if you keep losing to yourself today, don't expect to lead anything tomorrow. Whether it's your career, your family, your mission, everything powerful begins with self-leadership. So the question isn't, can I beat the world? The question is, can I beat the weaker version of me that shows up every day? The one that craves comfort, the one that avoids hard conversations, the one that settles, because the world won't take you seriously until you do. You can fake it online, you can talk big, you can post quotes, but your habits will always expose you. So ask yourself, what do you do when no one's watching? Do you show up? Do you keep your word? Do you move with purpose? That's where the real scoreboard is, not on the stage, in the dark. When it's just you and you, win that battle and the rest of the world falls into place. That's the formula. That's the truth. That's where your power lives. Everything changes the moment you stop pointing fingers and start pointing inward. That's where the shift happens. That's when the game changes. Because, let's be honest, blame is easy. It's comfortable. It gives you a way out. It lets you avoid responsibility. You can blame your past, your parents, the economy, your boss, your partner, your schedule, anything to avoid facing the mirror. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. Nothing will change until you change. And nothing will change for you until you take full, brutal, radical ownership of every part of your life. Your mindset, your habits, your reactions, your choices. You may not be responsible for what happened to you, but you are 100% responsible for what you do next. And that's where most people lose. Not because they lack intelligence or talent, but because they keep handing away their power by blaming the external world. But the winners, the ones who grow, evolve, lead, they do the opposite. They ask, what can I learn from this? What did I allow? What pattern do I need to break? What decision must I take right now? That's the difference. That's the gap. It's the difference between being a victim of your circumstances or becoming the architect of your future, and you can't be both. You have to choose. You can keep complaining about the storm, or you can become the one who learns to sail through it. You can keep saying, life is unfair, or you can become so strong, so focused, so grounded that no unfairness can shake you. But to do that, you have to win the first battle, the battle over your thoughts. You see, your thoughts are not just passing clouds. They're the blueprint of your life. And most people don't control their thoughts. Their thoughts control them. They wake up and immediately feed on negativity. I'm tired. I'm behind. I can't do this. They don't realize they're programming their brain for defeat before the day even begins. But what if, instead, you chose to think differently? What if you intercepted those thoughts and replaced them with intention? I'm not behind, I'm building. I'm not tired, I'm just getting started. I don't need permission, I'm taking control. That's where personal power begins, not with force, but with awareness, with interrupting the autopilot and rewriting the narrative. Because the story you keep telling yourself is the story you live. And most of the time, the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is the lie you keep believing. The lie that says you're not ready. The lie that says you're stuck. The lie that says you'll never be enough. But lies die when faced with truth. And the truth is, you are more powerful than your past. You are bigger than your mistakes. You are capable of radical change. But only if you own it. Only if you stop looking outside for validation or rescue and start looking inward for discipline and action. So here's the challenge. Catch yourself. Catch every complaint. Catch every excuse. Catch every I can't, and replace it with I will. Start treating every thought like a seed. Ask yourself, do I want this to grow? If not, pull it out. Replace it. Replant. Because your mind is a garden, and if you don't plant what you want, the weeds will take over. And once your thinking shifts, your decisions shift, your actions shift, your outcomes shift. This is not motivation. This is mechanics. And the mechanics are simple. What you think consistently becomes what you believe. What you believe becomes how you behave. And how you behave becomes who you are. So if you want to change who you are, start by upgrading what you think. Stop thinking like a victim. Stop thinking like someone waiting for something to happen. Start thinking like a leader, like a builder, like a finisher. Start thinking like someone who doesn't just react, but responds. Who doesn't just dream, but decides. Who doesn't just want, but works. Because that's the mindset that makes you dangerous. That's the mindset that makes you unshakable. And that's the mindset that wins long before the world ever sees it. So next time you catch yourself blaming the world, pause, breathe, and say this out loud. I am not here to blame. I am here to build. I own my thoughts. I own my life. And I'm not waiting anymore. I'm moving now. Emotions aren't the problem. Emotional reactions are. The truth is, emotions are information. They're signals, data. They tell you where you're hurt, what you care about, what you fear, what you desire. But here's the line that separates the powerful from the powerless. The weak react, the strong reflect. That's it. That's the difference. Most people are emotionally impulsive. They let a text message ruin their whole day. A traffic jam turns into an outburst. A single comment triggers a storm inside them. Why? Because they never learned to observe the emotion. They just obey it. But if you obey every emotion, you become a slave to your impulses. And if you want to be unbeatable, that's the first chain you break. You don't let your emotions drive. You let them inform. Then you decide. You choose. That's emotional mastery, not suppression, but separation. The ability to pause, to feel, but not follow, to notice anger, but respond with clarity, to sense fear, but still take the step, to feel insulted, but not lose your composure. That pause, that moment of self-control, it's everything. It's power, because every time you choose reflection over reaction, you grow stronger. You reclaim space. You protect your energy, and you send a message to your mind, to your body, to the world. I'm in control. That's where respect is built. That's where leadership begins, not when you dominate others, but when you dominate yourself in moments of heat. Because, make no mistake, life will test you. People will provoke you. Chaos will happen. You can't control that. But what you can control is your frame, your response, your breath. And that response is your edge. It's your advantage. Anyone can yell, anyone can complain, anyone can blame, but not everyone can stay composed when everything's spinning. And that's why calm is a superpower. In a world addicted to reactivity, calm is rare. Calm is strength. Calm is contagious. But calm doesn't mean passive. Calm means powerful. It means you're so grounded, so anchored, that you don't need to explode to be heard. You don't need to prove your worth with noise. You prove it through control. And it all starts with awareness, the ability to sit with your emotions and ask, what is this? Where is it coming from? What does it want me to do? And is that action aligned with the person I want to be? That's the work most people avoid. But you face it. You sit with discomfort. You don't run from your emotions. You run toward understanding them. Because every emotion, even the dark ones, carry a message. Anger says, a boundary was crossed. Fear says, you're stepping into the unknown. Sadness says, something mattered and was lost. But you don't drown in those messages. You decode them. You use them. You sharpen yourself with them. That's real maturity. That's mental dominance. Because, let's face it, anyone can appear strong when everything's easy. But true strength shows up in the storm. When your buttons are pushed, your patience tested, your limits stretched, that's when your training is revealed. And emotional training starts every single day. When someone cuts you off, breathe. When a project fails, reflect. When you're criticized, listen without attachment. When you feel triggered, pause before speaking. In those tiny moments, you either reinforce your old patterns or rewire a new standard. And those standards, they shape your identity. So don't chase emotional perfection, chase emotional responsibility. Don't aim to feel happy all the time. Aim to respond with power no matter what you feel, because emotional mastery isn't about smiling through pain. It's about refusing to be controlled by it. It's about showing up clear, grounded, and intentional even when your world feels loud. And when you live like that, something incredible happens. People trust you. They follow your calm. They mirror your energy because they know you don't just lead with your words, you lead with your presence. You become the one people turn to when the heat rises, when pressure builds, when the moment requires clarity, not chaos. So if you want to lead in this life, if you want to win in business, relationships, purpose, it doesn't start with tactics. It starts with internal control, with mastering the battlefield inside your chest, because the real victory is not calming the world. It's calming yourself. And from that stillness, you move with focus, with fire, with unshakable peace. And that's what makes you dangerous. Discipline. That's the line. That's the edge. That's the difference between the person you are and the person you're trying to become. Motivation? It's a visitor. It shows up when it wants. It disappears when you need it the most. But discipline? That's your foundation. That's your fire. That's your freedom. Let me say this clearly. If you can't command yourself, you'll be controlled by everything else. Your cravings, your moods, your laziness, your fear. And if that's the case, it doesn't matter how big your dreams are. Without discipline, they die in the waiting room of your excuses. You want to know the brutal truth? You don't need anyone else to defeat you. You defeat yourself every time you say, just one more hour of sleep, just one more scroll, just this once. Every compromise chips away at your greatness. Every time you break your own word, you make it easier to do it again. But here's the switch, the turning point. When you decide that keeping promises to yourself is not optional, everything changes. You build a new identity, not based on results, based on integrity. You wake up when you said you would, not because it's exciting, but because it's who you are. You train, you write, you show up, even when you're tired, even when no one's watching, even when no one claps. Because that's what discipline is. It's choosing long-term victory over short-term relief. It's making the hard decision now so life gets easier later. It's becoming the kind of person who doesn't wait for the perfect moment. They create it. And let me tell you this, when you build that kind of self-respect, deep, unshakable, earned through sweat and silence, no one can take it from you. That's the kind of energy that walks into the room and shifts the temperature. That's the kind of presence that says, without a word, I do what I say. I don't break. I lead. And the world respects that. Because discipline is rare. Anyone can start strong. Few finish. Anyone can be great on day 1. Few show up on day 91. But those who do, they're the ones who lead. Not because they're perfect, but because they've trained themselves to keep going, even when it's boring. Especially when it's boring. Because, let's be real, discipline isn't sexy. It's repetitive. It's waking up early. Again, it's hitting the gym. Again, it's saying no to distraction. Again. But that repetition? That's where greatness is forged. That's where you build something most people never touch. Momentum. And once momentum is on your side, discipline doesn't feel like a chore anymore. It feels like alignment, like flow, like purpose. You move with power because your actions match your identity. And that alignment, that's peace, That's confidence. That's fire. But don't wait to feel it. Feelings are liars. They whisper comfort when your soul craves growth. So don't ask, do I feel like it? Ask, did I commit to it? And if the answer is yes, show up. Not at 100%. Show up at whatever you have, but show up, because imperfect action done daily will crush perfect intentions left undone. And every time you show up when it's hard, you prove to yourself that you're not a prisoner of your emotions. You're not a slave to your environment. You're the master, the commander, the architect. And that mastery, it starts with the smallest decision. Get up, follow through, finish. One decision at a time, you become your own leader, your own coach, your own warrior. And when you get there, when discipline isn't just something you practice, but something you are, you'll look back and realize this was never about productivity. It was about identity. You didn't just build habits. You rebuilt who you are, from fragile to focused, from scattered to steady, from follower to force. That's what self-discipline gives you, and no one can give it to you. You earn it rep by rep, day by day, battle by battle. So the next time your mind tries to sell you comfort, sell it this. Comfort is cheap. Discipline builds empires. And you? You weren't born to obey. You were born to master. And it starts now. Fear is the final gate, the invisible wall, the quiet voice that keeps you playing small when you were built for something massive. You want to win the world? Then you better learn how to walk through fear, not around it, not under it, through it. Because the truth is, fear isn't the enemy. Fear is the compass. It points directly at the place where your greatest growth lives. But most people, they see fear and they freeze. They see discomfort and they run. And every time they do that, they reinforce the idea that they're not strong enough, that they're not ready. That safety is better than purpose. But let me say this clearly. You cannot grow and stay comfortable at the same time. You cannot rise and hide. You cannot become who you were meant to be while staying shackled to who you've always been. And fear is the guardian at the door of that transformation. You want to break through? You have to go straight at the thing that makes your stomach turn. That conversation, that decision, that risk, that truth. Because the more you avoid it, the more it owns you. And when fear owns you, the world will too. But when you face it, when you stand your ground, breathe through the panic, move forward anyway, you take the power back. You reclaim your fire. You send a message to your subconscious, I run this, not fear, not doubt, me. That's where strength is born, not in the absence of fear, but in the refusal to obey it. Let's get real. Fear will always be there. It doesn't disappear. It evolves. As you grow, the fears grow with you. Bigger stage, bigger fear, higher goal, louder resistance. But here's the secret. You grow stronger too. Every time you do something scared, you stretch your courage muscle. You normalize discomfort. You train yourself to lead, not just survive. That's what separates the greats from the rest. Not that they were fearless, but that they feared and moved anyway. That's how confidence is built. Through action, not affirmation. Through evidence, not imagination. You do the thing. You face the fire. You make it out alive, and your brain learns, I can handle this. Then it learns, I can handle more. Then it becomes, I was built for this. And at that point, you become dangerous because the world can no longer manipulate you through fear. They can't control you with rejection, can't stop you with criticism, can't distract you with doubt, because you've already faced the dragon inside and lived. That's real power. That's unbreakable. And if you think playing small will keep you safe, think again. Playing small is the most dangerous move you can make, because while you shrink to protect your ego, your potential dies in the background. Your purpose rots in silence, and that's not safety. That's slow death. So you've got two options: live under fear or rise through it. Wait for courage or create it. Be remembered for hesitation or for boldness. And I know what you want. You wouldn't be here if you didn't feel it, the pull, that whisper that says, there's more in you. You feel it when you're alone, when it's quiet. That burning truth that you're capable of more, but something inside keeps pulling the brakes. That something? It's fear, and the only way out is through. So take the step. Not when it's easy, especially when it's terrifying. Say the thing, try the thing, build the thing, show up, even shaking, because confidence doesn't show up first. You do. And if you keep showing up, the fear shrinks. The doubt dissolves. The voice in your head changes from, what if I fail, to, what if I fly? And you will, because the moment you win the inner war with fear, the outer world has no chance. People will look at you and wonder, how are they so calm, so confident, so relentless? And they won't know the nights you battled your own thoughts. They won't see the times you moved forward despite shaking hands and a racing heart. But you'll know, and you'll know deep in your bones, that you earned every inch of who you've become. That's what walking through fear gives you, not just results, identity, character, peace. So stop waiting for fear to leave. It won't, but you can rise anyway, and the moment you do, the world makes room. Not because it owes you, but because it can't ignore someone who refuses to bow. Someone who stared down their own shadow and walked through it like fire. That someone, that's you. Now you know. The world was never your true battlefield. The war has always been inside your mind, inside your emotions, inside your discipline, inside your fear. And now you see it clearly. The one who conquers within needs no permission to conquer anything else. Because when your mind is strong, your world bends to meet it. When your heart is steady, chaos cannot shake you. When your habits are rooted, storms cannot break you. That's the truth, and you've felt it, haven't you? As you listened, as you reflected, something stirred inside you, not inspiration, recognition, a part of you rising to say, this is who I really am. The version of you that doesn't make excuses, the version that doesn't beg for comfort, the version that doesn't fear judgment. That version has been waiting for you to stop running, waiting for you to step forward, waiting for you to stop negotiating with your weakness. And now is the time, not tomorrow, not when you're ready. You won't feel ready. You weren't supposed to. Readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. And today, you decide. You decide to rise. You decide to confront what you've been avoiding. You decide to choose discipline over delay, awareness over autopilot, action over analysis. And once you make that choice, really make it, you've already begun to win. You've already started the climb. It won't be easy. That's the point. The resistance is part of the process. But here's what's different now. You won't fold at the first sign of discomfort. You won't retreat just because it hurts. Because now you understand that pain is not your enemy. It's your refiner. Pressure is not a threat. It's your forge. You no longer see challenge as an obstacle. You see it as a mirror, a test, an invitation to step into the version of you who doesn't need to fake confidence, because they've earned it through sweat, through stillness, through silence, through showing up again and again and again. And one day, not far from now, you'll wake up and realize you are no longer pretending to be powerful. You are powerful because you won the only battle that ever really mattered, the battle to master yourself. So the world, let it come. The noise, the pressure, the setbacks, bring it on. You've already faced the greatest enemy, your own excuses, and you've buried them. You've stared down the mirror and said, no more lies, no more fear, no more shrinking. From this point forward, you don't just move with force, you move with alignment, with precision, with identity. You're not chasing greatness, you're becoming it, and no one will need to validate it because it will be written in how you move, in how you show up, in the energy you radiate when you walk into a room, focused, calm, unshakable. That's not ego. That's earned. That's internal. That's what happens when you stop trying to win the world while losing to yourself, and instead start winning the only game that matters. So ask yourself, one last time, what's one thing I've been avoiding within myself? Name it, face it, and make the move, the small move, the hard move, the next move. Because the moment you move, the momentum begins. And from there, you build, day by day, thought by thought, habit by habit, until there's nothing left to prove because you've already become undeniable. That's how you win, not over the world, over yourself. And once you've done that, the world won't stand a chance. Now go, build it, live it, be unbeatable.